Hey, what's going on, guys? Blunt Guts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Appreciate you tuning into my channel. I wish it was under better circumstances, but yet again, the developers of this game have decided that they want to make a material change to a hero after they have released him on global servers. This is after a massive lead up. A lot of testing was done on this hero as well as all the others in the Poisoner comp, and yet they didn't even make an announcement via their Discord server. What they did was communicate this information to the content creators who do have test server access, myself included. I'm probably not supposed to be showing you this information, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway because I think this is utter bullshit. And I think the way that they are trying to get the content creators to act as their damage mitigation on this is utter bullshit as well. So let's take a look at the message that we got on the server this morning. It reads, "Hi, our testers. Just a quick heads up, guys. The new hero Vorn is officially live on the official server today. Please note that his skill descriptions have been adjusted." Cool. After everybody spent money on it, after everybody has spent resources on it, they're adjusting his skills. And there may be some differences compared to the version you reviewed on the test account, which was updated last week. To ensure clarity for your audience, right, because we want to make sure that they're clear on the change that they would have no idea about, right? Could you kindly add a note or pin comment under any related review videos informing players of the following final changes? Again, look at the time here, 8:13 a.m. The server resets at 4 a.m. my time, meaning that this message was not sent until 4 hours and 13 minutes after people had started summoning. These are the adjustment details. The skill Mind of Hatred now specifies allied fighter units instead of allied units, meaning that no longer can you buff any platform units with the shield break ability. On top of that, the A1 also specifies allied fighter units instead of allied units. Same deal. Only fighters are going to be able to receive the shield break here. The A3 now includes an additional effect. The number of targets affected by Awaken 1 increases by 1. So now when you get to the A3, you're going to be able to buff 4 fighter units. Now here's the problem with that. There are really no 4 fighter unit Abyss 1 comps in the game right now. Maybe that will change in the future, but as of right now, that's really not something that anybody is doing. So that's really not all that useful. Ultimately, I think this is exceptionally underhanded. They waited until people had spent resources. They waited until people had spent money. And then they made a change. This is very reminiscent of the Magda nerf that they did when they deployed her on global servers a little over a year ago. It's really just atrocious. I don't understand how a company can continue to make the same mistake over and over again. Just be forthright with your community. If you need to make changes, make them before people spend money. It is predatory and it is just, I don't know, especially with people so upset over the drop rates for Numera last week, why you would do something like this last minute. Is this supposed to be a buff? Like, are they so disconnected from what's going on in their game right now that they think this is an unequivocal buff? I think you can make the argument. That this is not necessarily a bad change. I personally don't agree. I don't think that that is the case. Now, the rationale for saying that it is a decent change would be that the fighters are the ones that you want to receive the buffs anyway. And I guess it would remove some of the attack level juggling that you might have to do in order to make sure that the units that you did want to target with the shield break ability were targeted. However, with that being said, now if you want to buff Hex, if you want to buff Nastya, if you want to buff Ingrid, you can't do that. You cannot, unequivocally, you cannot do that with Vorn any longer. And that is not what all of the information that we had prior to 8:15 a.m. this morning Eastern Standard Time said. And that's just atrocious. That is the definition of a bait and switch. So let's take a look at exactly what the text looked like last week on the test server, as well as when the banner was released. This is what the previous text looked like. So at the time, it read, increases damage dealt to shielded targets by 30%. Applies shield break to 2 allied units with the highest attack on the battlefield. 2 allied units, highest attack on the battlefield. No range, no specific unit types, anything like that. Each time the ultimate is cast, permanently gains 10% magic resist penetration, blah, 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 stacking up to 3 times. All of that. So a much more versatile skill at that point. Whether that's better, worse, that is up to you to decide. I'm not going to say one way or the other because I do think, this is something that is up for debate. But currently, Mind of Hatred reads like this. Increases damage dealt to shielded targets by 30%. That is the same. Applies shield break to 2 allied fighter units with the highest attack on the battlefield. Allied fighter units. So again, these are going to be fighters. These are going to be ground-based units there are limited spots for ground-based unit in the boss that Vorn is most specifically designed for, which is Abyss 1, of course. Typically, you have a hard time fitting more than 4 ground-based units in that fight because of the way the mechanics of the fight function, with a lot of ground AoE going on a tank and needing to have everybody within the range of all of your damage mitigation units, such as Pharisee, such as Islands, such as potentially the Outchan. So you don't have room for more than 4 ground-based units. Since you do have to have one of those units be a tank, there's really only 3 fighters that are going to be buffed by this, despite the fact that the A3 now is going to give you the ability to buff 4 fighter units, which I guess is possible. People may restructure the way they are doing things, but as of right now, there are not really any teams that are going to take advantage of that change either. So again, I don't know. You know, I know I'm kind of rambling here. I know I'm ranting, but this is just the same thing over and over again with this company. It infuriates me every time. They charge an arm and a leg for summons, and yet they continue to take advantage of their community over and over and over again. Whether it be the Magda stealth nerf that I did comment on last year, or the preset RNG on summons that was exposed at the end of last year, or the lack of transparency on the rates, and everybody pounding the table for some solid numbers on that for an extended period of time. Or finally, something like this, where 4 hours after the release of a hero, they make a substantive change to the way that his kit functions, and they don't tell anybody about it except for their content creators, and they expect the content creators to be their mouthpiece. It is just abysmal. It is not fair to the community. It's not fair to the content creators in my mind. I spent a lot of time breaking down this unit, giving people specific advice based on the way that his kit worked the entire lead up to this banner. And now it is fundamentally different because his defining trait does not function in the same way that it did previously. And that pisses me off. That really pisses me off. So shame on you, Moonton, or whoever the developers are at this point. I don't even know at this point, but either way, this is atrocious. This is an abominable way to treat your community. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I've been Blunt Guts. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think about this, both what you think of the change itself, as well as how you feel about how this went down. That it happened after the banner was released on Global. They did not make an announcement in the game news on Discord or anything like that. I don't know. I'm beside myself at this point. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Click that thumbs up button so as many people as possible do see this. Subscribe if you do want to see more of my content going forward. Appreciate y'all. Good luck, everybody. Whatever you decide to do, I will catch you all next time.